Hey everyone and welcome back. Today we are checking out Do You Know What I Mean by Oasis. This one has been crazy overdue, so I'm really happy to say that today we are checking it out. And a massive thank you to my Patreon community who voted for this lesson, so you have them to thank for this piece of content. If you're a massive fan of the channel and you want to get involved and vote on my next lesson, please go check out the link to my Patreon page. I've also additionally just released my first exclusive video, which is Ant's Gig Rig, where I talk about my gear and why I use it. And with that in mind, let's not waste any more time and get straight into it. So before we begin, let me just run you through the equipment. Today I'm using a Blackstar HT Stage 60, which is a 2x12 valve amp. I've got my Les Paul here, which is a Gibson Les Paul 2019 60 spec one, so it's got this slightly thinner neck. And as for pedals, the lovely people at Blackstar have sent me one of their Dep 10 dual drives, which is now my overdrive of choice. So if you like the way it sounds after watching this video, you can purchase it through the link in the description below. But as for sounds then, with the rhythm guitar, I've got the gain set at 1 o'clock on channel 1, and then for the lead guitar I've actually dialed the gain back to about 10 o'clock for clarity. I've kept the EQ the same for both. I've got the bass set at 1 o'clock, middle at about 10 o'clock and treble at 3 o'clock, and that should be everything you need to know, other than I've just added a bit of reverb from the amp. Alright then, we are going to start by talking about the rhythm section for Do You Know What I Mean by Oasis. On the example clip, I'm sure you noticed I used a combination of electric and acoustic guitar together, and that was a luxury for this particular video. I'm assuming most of you, when you perform the song live, you're not going to have an acoustic guitar player and electric guitar playing rhythm together, as well as an additional lead guitarist. So I would probably assume most of you are going to be in a 4-piece band with 2 guitar players, and if that's the case, then I would recommend 1 guitar for the rhythm guitar, and you could probably get away with just keeping it as an electric guitar part. Maybe you could do it clean or overdriven depending on what you prefer. And I'd also remind you that on the 2015 remaster of Do You Know What I Mean, I'm pretty sure they got rid of the guitar in the verse completely, so that's also going to be an option to you if you want to add a bit more dynamics into the sort of sound of the song when you perform it. But it's entirely up to you on that one. Anyway, I'm going to start by showing you the example clip of just the rhythm part, and then I'm going to break it down. Check this out. So there's only going to be a handful of chords to play here, despite the length of the song. The first thing we're going to need to do is to put the capo on the 2nd fret, and the first chord we're going to play is going to be an E minor. Now with the capo on the 2nd fret, technically this chord is going to be F sharp minor, but for the ease of this lesson, we're just going to call it E minor. I think most people will understand it better that way. So like I say, the first chord's going to be E minor, and we can either play it as it is, or we can add in our pinky finger or ring finger to the 3rd of the B to make it an E minor 7. And on the example, that's what I do. The second chord is simply going to be a G chord, so we're going to move our middle finger over to the 3rd of the E, keeping everything else the same. For the 3rd chord, we are going to move over to a D sus2, so we're simply going to move over our index finger to the 2nd of the G. So we've got the open D, 2nd of the G, 3rd of the B, and open E. And finally, we're going to play an A sus4, which is going to be the open A, 2nd of the D, 2nd of the G, 3rd of the B, and open E. And as an alternative, you could also play an A sus2, so you just simply get rid of that 3rd of the B. So you've got a couple of options, and the rhythm for this 4-chord progression is simply going to sound like this. It sounds very eerily similar to Wonderwall. I'll just play that a bit slower. Check this out. hopefully you've got a nice idea for the feel of this particular piece. In the introduction, we're going to play this progression 3 times, and then afterwards we're going to move over to either a C major, or we could play a C major 7, which is what I prefer to do. So that's going to be likely C major chord, but without the first of the B. So we've got the third of the A, second of the D, and then the rest of the strings open. Afterwards, we're going to move over to a D sus2, and then A sus2. And rhythmically, they sound like this. And all together for the introduction. From here we're going to move into the verse, where we're going to play the same 4-chord progression over and over again, and it's going to make up the majority of the song, and the progression isn't going to change until we get to the pre-chorus, where we're going to play this. So we're simply adding in 2 chords there. That's going to be E sus4 and then an E major. For the E sus4, we're going to play the open E, second of the A, second of the D, second of the G, and then open B and E. And then to make that into an E major chord, we're simply going to take that pinky finger, second of the G off, and change it for the first of the G. So it's just going down 1 fret. So that's all there is to the rhythm guitar for Do You Know What I Mean by Oasis. I'm now going to show you the example clip with just the acoustic guitar, and then afterwards just the electric guitar, so you can get an idea for what you want to do in your own band. Check this out. Next up, we're going to start rattling through all of the lead guitar in Do You Know What I Mean, starting with the introduction and verse 1 lead guitar. I'm going to be using channel number 2 on my Blackstar Dep 10 dual drive, and I'm also going to be boosting the reverb from the amp. As an additional note, I use this same setting for all of the lead guitar in this song. Anyway, let's start by having a look at the example first, and then I'll break it down. Check this out. So we're going to be based at the 14th frets of our E string, B string and G string. The first time this riff is played is over the A sus2 chord at the end of the introduction, just before the beginning of verse number 1. We're going to start at the 14th of the E and we're going to play it twice. We're then going to stop the note and move over to the 14th of the B with our middle finger, playing that twice. And again, stop the note, move it over to the 14th of the G with our index finger, playing that once. It's important that we play the notes individually, because when we play them together, they overlap and become quite muddy. They just sound like this. I think it's much more accurate to play them individually. So we're going to play that at the end of the introduction over that A sus2 chord. At that point, we're then going to go through the verse progression twice, and at the end of the second time over that A sus4 chord, the riff is going to come in again. And then we're going to repeat that again, so another 2 times around the progression before the riff comes back in. At that point, we've played the riff 3 times, and the song is going to go into an instrumental break where the verse chords are going to get played twice, and afterwards then the vocals are going to come back in and the progression is going to be played another 2 times, at which point at the end of that second time on the A sus4 the riff is going to come back in, but this time reversed. So we're going to play the 14th of the G first, then 14th of the B, and then 14th of the E, and this time we're just going to play those once each. We're then going to repeat that again after another 2 times around the progression. I appreciate that might sound a little bit confusing. Let's have a look at the example another time. The next 2 pieces of lead guitar feature in the pre-chorus and chorus. On the record they're played on strings, and I've just translated them over onto guitar. Let's have a look at the example first and then I'll break it down. Check this out. look at the pre-chorus lead guitar first. This actually begins at the end of the verse, moving into the pre-chorus over that A sus4 chord. And we are going to be starting on the D string at the 9th fret. We're going to start by playing that, hammering on to the 11th with our ring finger, then pulling it off and sliding 2 frets down to the 7th fret. Afterwards, we are going to play the 9th of the D. We're going to pull that off to the 7th fret and then move over to the 9th of the A. And a bit more rhythmically. This riff gets played 4 times over the A sus4 chord before moving on into the chorus lead guitar. And for that, we are going to be based up at the 18th fret of our G, and it just sounds like this. And the reason I've chosen to play it so high up the neck is because it sounds much more accurate to the strings on the record. You're also more than welcome to play the same riff from the 11th of the D. But this riff is going to get played every other time in the chorus progression, and it starts at the 18th of the G, moving down to the 16th, then 14, 16, 14, and then twice on the 16th of the D. Then we're going to play it again, and finish by going to the 14th of the G and then 16th of the D. The next bit of lead guitar we are going to have a look at is the instrumental section, which features at the end of the first chorus. On the record, this is played on strings, and again I've just converted it over to electric guitar. Let's start by having a look at the example first, and then I'll walk you through it. So to start this part, we're going to be based at the 9th of our G, and we're going to play that note and slide it up to the 11th fret. As soon as we do that, we're going to play the note again. To follow that up, we're going to play an upstroke and downstroke, and then slide back down to the 9th fret. We are then going to play the 9th of the G twice, and they're both going to be downstrokes. We're going to follow that up with an up and downstroke, and then a third hit downstroke. So that's we're then going to do another 2 strikes on the 9th of the G. This time it's going to be down and up. And I appreciate that's going to be a little bit confusing, so once again it sounds like this. And one more time. At this point we're going to drop back 1 fret, and we're going to use our 2 fingers here, index and middle, at the 8th fret. We're going to play that and bend it up a half and then back down again. From here we're going to move over with our ring finger to the 9th of the D, playing that once, and then a second time sliding up to the 11th fret. We're then going to play this a further 2 times. From here we are going to move down 2 frets to the 9th of the D, and we're going to play that with our 3 fingers there to support, and we're going to bend it down, bring it back, pull it off to the 7th of the D, and then land with our ring finger at the 9th of the A, playing that note twice. We're then going to repeat that again, but this time only play the 9th of the A once. So together we've got and from here we're going to jump over to the 12th of the B with our 3 fingers again, playing it, bending it up and down, and then pulling it off to the 10th. Moving over to the 9th of the G with our index finger, and either sliding up to the 11th fret or playing it. Altogether it becomes this. This next piece of lead guitar features quite early on in the second verse. Let's roll the clip and then I'll walk you through it. So we're going to be in familiar territory here. We're going to start by sliding in on the G string 9th fret up to the 11th, and this time we're going to use our middle finger to do it. We'll then use our index finger to play the 10th of the B, and then put in our 3 fingers up to the 12th of the B, and we're going to play that, bend it up and bring it back down again. Simply from here we'll go to the 10th of the B and back to the 11th of the G. We'll then simply play the 10th of the B and 11th of the G again. And again play the 10th of the B, letting it ring out slightly this time. And going back once again to the 11th of the G. Together. And one more time. Let's roll the clip again. This next piece of lead guitar features in the second chorus, and it's an instrumental section. This is going to be the part which leads up into the guitar solo. It's not going to be totally 100% accurate to the record. It's very difficult to work out what's actually going on, so I've made up a few bits here and there, but I've definitely taken influence from the source material. If you're playing in a live scenario, feel free to reference this part or ignore it and make up your own part. We're in F sharp minor, just for reference. Anyway, let's roll the clip and then I will break it down. So if you're choosing to stick with my version of this part, we are going to be starting at the 14th of the D, and we are going to play that hammer onto the 16th fret and then play it a further 2 times. We're then going to play it once, then we're going to do an up and downstroke and a final downstroke. Now that's going to sound very confusing. It will make a bit more sense when I put a bit of rhythm on it. It goes like this. From here we are going to move over to the 16th of the G, and with our 3 fingers we are going to play that and bend it up. We are then going to play it unbent, move over to the 14th of the G and 16th of the D. Afterwards we'll go back to the 16th of the G, we'll play it again and bend it up a bit slower. Then play it unbent to the 14th, then 16th of the D to 14th to 16th. So for that part we've got this. And all together so far. We're then going to play the 16th of the D twice, then 14th of the G, and then 16th of the D a further 3 times. So for that, once again, all together. From here we're going to repeat the section from the bend, so we've got this. And once again all together. And to finish, we're going to go back to the 16th of the G like usual, playing it, bending it up, then playing it unbent to the 14th of the G and then 16th of the D. But then afterwards, we're going to go immediately back to the 16th of the G, play it and very slowly bend it up. So we've got something like this. And all together, it sounds like this. So we've now arrived at the guitar solo. On the record, this one's played with a wah pedal, and I would highly recommend it if you've got one available. I currently do not have one available, so I've just played it without, but hopefully that will make it a bit more clear for the purpose of the lesson. Let's start by rolling the clip and then I will walk you through it. This guitar solo is going to be very much based around F sharp minor pentatonic pattern 1, and we are going to be based at the 17th of the B to start with 3 fingers, and we are going to play that, bend it up and then bring it back down, moving over to the 14th of the B, and it just sounds like this. And we're going to do something very similar on the G string. We're going to move over to the 16th fret again with our 3 fingers. We're going to play that, bend it up, bring it back down, and then pull off to the 14th of the G before going to the 16th of the D, playing that twice. Together they just sound like this. And I'll just play that again. From here we'll move to the 14th of the D, to the 16th, then the 14th of the G, playing that and letting it ring out for a moment. Then we'll go 16, 14, 16 on the D. Then 14 on the G, back to the 16th of the D. Together, sequence number 1 sounds like this. Sequence number 2 is going to start exactly the same on the bend 17th fret, playing it, bending it up, bringing it down, then playing the 14th of the B. We're going to have a subtle change on the G string this time now. We're going to play the 16th fret, bend it up, then play it again, bend it down before pulling off to the 14th fret and landing at the 16th of the D twice again there. And that just sounds like this. It's a very subtle difference. I'll just play that again. Afterwards, we're going to play this quick sequence where we are going to bar the 14th of the G and B together, and we're going to play those twice. Then we'll move over to the 16th of the D, and we'll repeat that 4 times. It just sounds like this. Afterwards, we'll play the 14th of the G and B together a 5th time, just the once, and then the 16th of the D once. All together, sequence number 2 sounds like this. Moving into sequence number 3, again we're going to start exactly the same as we did sequence number 2. But this time we're going to move over to the A string, 14th fret, and we'll go 14, 15, 16. Then 14 on the D to 16. Then we're going to go to the 14th of the G. Then 16, bending up and bending it back down. Pulling off to the 14th of the G, then the 16th of the D, 14th of the G, 16th of the D. Altogether, sequence number 3. Moving into our 4th and final sequence, we're going to go again back to the 17th of the B, playing the same thing we did before. And now we're going to go back to familiar territory. We're going to bar the 14th of the G and B together. We're going to play that twice, moving over to the 16th of the D, playing that once. And again, we'll play that 4 times. But afterwards, we'll immediately move to the 16th fret of the G and play that and bend up. All together, sequence 1 through to 4 sound like this. And with that guitar solo, we'll conclude this lesson on Do You Know What I Mean by Oasis. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comment section below how you get on with it. I would absolutely love to hear from you. But for now, I will see you on the next lesson.